Happy Wednesday. This is the 17th day of November. This is the 38th episode of the Be Your Own Hero Show. HERO is an acronym. It means helping everyone reaps optimism. In other words, helping others helps you. I'm your host. My name is sekouwrites. I am a professional creative and the creator of what is now known as the HERO Ministry Movement. Yes, HERO Ministry Movement. So that is my effort to inspire and empower the unhoused community in a number of different ways now, including what has become the HERO Charity Run. But we'll get into that in a minute. Quick disclaimers, I am not a personal trainer, nor am I a financial advisor, so take what I say with a grain of salt. Do your own research, do your own due diligence. Shout out, as always, to New Thought Media Network for allowing me the space and opportunity to be here and to talk about my journey of becoming my own hero. And this season, this financial prosperity season, which is season 2, my journey of becoming my own financial hero, which ties into my what does Rev Mel call it? My attribute of abundance. Okay, so if this show provides any value, please like, comment, share, tweet, subscribe on YouTube, and spread the word. I'd appreciate it. This show is now Monday through Friday, 9:45 a.m. Eastern time. And that's Eastern because I'm currently in New York City. Okay, so I've run out of time. The first two, Monday and Tuesday, I ran out of time, even though I got an extra 15 minutes. I can't understand how that is happening. So I'm going to try to move much more quickly today so that I don't run out of time. So very quickly, shout out to the heroes in the chat. Shout out to Tim. Shout out to Nan. There's that morning cup of coffee for everybody. Appreciate that. And let's get right into the HERO Ministry Movement news. I still got to get used to saying it. I added that extra word. HERO Ministry Movement news. Okay, so today is a milestone day for me. Today is, do I have time for a drum roll? See, I just said I was going to stay on target, so I won't do the drum roll. Today is day 170. I've been running every single day for 170 days in a row. It really hits me on the milestone days because I say these numbers every day, and so I kind of become immune to them. But on the milestone days, it hits me. 170 days in a row, 0 days off since June 1st, 2021. 0 days off since the summer. So that's pretty amazing. Even if I do say so myself. That is also 68 days of me running at least a 5K for 68 days in a row. Minimum, because many times I've run more than a 5K. As you know, I just ran an official 10K in Baltimore this past weekend. So milestone day. There are 17 days left until Hoodies for the Homeless, the 4th annual Hoodies for the Homeless, created by Project Love Strong in Nashville, Tennessee. As you know, if you've been following the show, the HERO Ministry Movement was launched at the 3rd annual Hoodies for the Homeless event. So just a year ago, all this has happened in just a year. All this blossoming, all this growth. Anyway, as of yesterday, I was at 459 miles, if you can believe that. Almost 460 miles. So ticking on down, ticking on down, ticking on down. In terms of money, we're down to in the 1400 range. So a little less than 1500. So in the 1400s. And today, spontaneously during my run report, which I haven't posted yet, by the way, got to post that. I issued a challenge. I created a challenge and I'm calling it a 10 by 10 challenge. I'm asking for 10 people to donate $10 just to get some momentum moving and just to remind people that any small amount is still helpful. And I'm not talking about pledging per mile. I'm talking about straight donations. The pledging per mile is great, but then I can't see how much it'll be until the end of the month. And that'll be like, coming up on December 1st. And that's a little close. So straight donations of only $10, only looking for people to do that and post about the fact that you've done it. And if you're not on social media, email about the fact that you've done it. If you're not on email, tell somebody about the fact that you've done it. But the idea is to get 10 people to donate $10 and spread the word. So that's the challenge of issuing today. Okay, so that said, I'm not sure if I mentioned this or not, but I was on the Fee King show Friday, and I need to repost that video so you guys can watch it on my social media. It was an hour interview, and I actually did the first part of it while I was running. So I'm impressed with myself for being able to do that. And Fee King made a pledge to the run. So yeah, I'm excited for that. And obviously, I told you yesterday that there's been some movement in Baltimore because of that. Some people have been following me. Some people have been pledging donations. So very excited about that movement that's happening for me in Baltimore. Okay, so obviously the show has expanded. It's now a half-hour show. It starts at 9:45, goes to 10:15. I didn't tell anybody because I was trying to find my sea legs on my own, but it seems like the word is out. The notifications on Facebook are going out, and you found me. And so I'm still trying to get my beats together for this show. I can't believe that I've run out of time both days. So I just need to button down and get some systems in place. But I'm grateful for the expansion, and I hope that it serves you well because my goal is to be of service. So, quick reminder, I have 2 Amazon wish lists now, one for my backpack drops and one for me. The one for me was pretty superfluous at first, but now there are some things that I need. I haven't added them to the list yet, but there are some things that are coming up. Like, for example, I've been advised that I need to swap out my sneakers every 300 miles, and I'm almost at 500 miles. So I might need some help getting a new pair of sneakers, little things like that. And my socks, I burn through socks like that because I'm running so much. Anyway, I'll update both of those Amazon wish lists shortly. Reminder about the one for the backpack drops. I'm looking for gift cards so that I can give food gift cards to the unhoused so that they can have some autonomy and they can go get what they want when they want, as opposed to me just giving them tuna, because as I mentioned, several of the people that I tried to give tuna to said that they were allergic. So I want to be able to help in all the different ways. Okay, so next section. I'm adding a new section today. This is the backpack drop story section. I thought of this because yesterday I was talking to my mom and she asked me about recent backpack drops. And I didn't have any right then when she was asking me, but then I realized later that I have plenty. Like, I have so many that I haven't even shared because I racked them up pretty quickly. And so what I'm going to do is start telling those stories, because if you're anything like my mom, you're going to find the stories of interest. They have been fascinating to me. And I miss telling stories. I like telling stories, and I've been missing telling stories. So let me tell a quick story right here, and I'll do that, and then we'll move back on to money. So, story time. Backpack drop story. Okay, this is one of my favorites. This is not the most recent one, but it's one of my favorites. So I was jogging along the High Line. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with the High Line, it's essentially elevated train tracks for a station that's no longer in use. The train doesn't run along that area of the tracks anymore. So the city took that area, that stretch of train tracks, and built yards to the left and yards to the right, built it out a little bit and turned it into an elevated park, which is already a very cool concept. And it is the most well-maintained park I've seen in New York, which is saying a lot. There's always somebody in there pruning bushes, pruning trees. The views are incredible. It runs right through Hell's Kitchen and Chelsea. And so the apartment buildings on either side of the train tracks are spectacular. Many of them have doors that open right out onto the High Line. There are sculptures, installation pieces, benches for a view of the Hudson River. Like, it's an amazing park. The thinnest park I've probably ever seen, and also the prettiest. Anyway, I run that route fairly often. It's a great route. So I was jogging that route with my backpack on, and I made a loop down in the low numbers, like 20 something or something. I was coming back up, and I saw this young black man laid out on one of the benches. And when I say laid out, he was like lounging, like it was like his body posture gave me the impression that he was lounging on a big, puffy leather sofa, not that he was laid out on on a park bench, even though the park benches on the High Line are amazing. They really look like lounge chairs. But anyway, so he's laid out and he's got his eyes open. This is important because I've discovered in doing my backpack drops that I don't like waking people up. As you know, I jog early. So I don't like waking people up because they tend to get startled in a way that suggests that maybe they're used to being rousted, as in move along, move along. So I don't like to wake people up. So anyway, he had his eyes open. So I approached him and I asked him if there was anything he needed. And he says, Timisu. Timisu. And I was like, what? Timisu. And then it hit me that what he was saying was tiramisu, like the dessert. And I was like, what? Like, that was not the response I was expecting, right? So that blew me away. And then I'm thinking, well, clearly I don't have tiramisu in my backpack. But then now I'm thinking, well, can I get some? Is there a place that's open this early that might have? Like, I'm all in my head thinking about it. And as I'm thinking about it, he goes on to say, filet mignon with some béarnaise sauce and some blue cheese crumbles. I'm like, okay, all right. He's playing with me now, right? But it was interesting that he listed all these very high-end things that he might need. And so I'm saying, all right. So we're smiling at each other now, right? And I'm saying, well, I don't have any of those things in my backpack, but I got some things. At that point, I didn't even have tuna packets. I just had clothes. So I was like, I got some clothes. He was like, nah, don't worry about it. I'm good. And then he tells me this story that based on what I could see of him, his clothing, his weather-beaten skin, everything that I could observe, this story did not seem to at all be true. But he told me this story about how he was up late last night working on his computer, and he threw his back out working on a computer, and so therefore he was in the park laying on his bench trying to get his back to recover so he could go back and do some more computer programming. And I was like, okay. And then he gives me a fist bump and he says, stay up. He's telling me to stay up. I was like, okay. And I jogged on. He didn't take anything from me. And that was the extent of our communication. But I thought about it the whole way back. And I realized that he was manifesting. He was manifesting the life that he wanted right there in real time, so much so that he was unwilling to accept what I was offering him, because that would have messed up his visioning, right? So that really stuck with me. And because of that, I added something to my Amazon wish list for my backpack drops. I added a book called It Works. And I was going to hold up a copy today, but I gave out the last one last night, and that's a whole other story. But it's a very small pamphlet. I grew up with it. I don't remember how and why my mom got it, but I grew up seeing this little red and white booklet around the house called It Works. ITWORKS. It Works. It's available on Amazon, obviously, because it's in my Amazon wish list. And it's just this tiny little pamphlet, and it's essentially the law of attraction, but it's distilled down to about 5 pages. It's very short, very impactful, very succinct. But as the title suggests, it works if you work it, right? So I thought about that book because of this gentleman who was manifesting his life of computer programming and eating filet mignon and tiramisu. And I was like, okay, I need to have something in my arsenal for these folks who are manifesting a better life for themselves, because some of the unhoused I serve are comfortable being off the grid and comfortable being where they are. But there are some who are striving for something better, striving for something more, as this gentleman was. And so I added that book to the Amazon wish list. Shout out to Dr. Reese. She sent me like 6 or 7 of them, and they have all now been given out. And I've got stories for just about all 7 of them. So I will tell those stories in this section of me telling my backpack drop stories. But that's my favorite story so far. I mean, they're all very impactful. All my interactions with the unhoused are very impactful. I had one this morning. I had a couple last night. And and I've written them down so I won't forget. I'll continue to tell these stories, but that one really stuck with me. So shout out to that brother out there on the high line who is working his way mentally back to his ideal life. So that's it. Moving on. So let's get to the money. So let's do the affirmation. Our affirmation is right here. I am so happy and grateful to be a multimillionaire in every area of my life. I am so happy and grateful to be a multimillionaire in every area of my life. I want to stick with that same affirmation because I want it to become second nature to all of us. Whenever we're out there in the world and we feel pinched about finances or whatever else, I want us to be able to knee jerk back to that affirmation and remember to feel happy, remember to feel grateful when you say those words. And that's the hard part. It's easy to just repeat the words, but it's hard to reach for the feeling of happiness and reach for the feeling of gratitude. That's the hard part. Okay, so where are we going to go with money today? I said that I was going to talk about Shaq today, so let me do that. Just in summary, what I've been doing is building an investment wall of money bricks. And we've been talking about different money bricks as named by me, some term that I made up, but I've got a garden brick and a growth brick and an income brick. And we've been talking most about my risk brick. My risk brick is the crypto sphere. And that's my phrase for cryptocurrency, NFTs, metaverse, the convergence of all those three things plus more. That said, yesterday I was talking about a high schooler who made $100,000 by trading NFTs, flipping NFTs. He'd buy them low, sell them high, buy them low, sell them high, and traded his way to $100,000 before he even entered college. And the way that he was able to do that was by following the whales. The whales are the folks with the big money. And I was saying that that is the philosophy that I'm adopting and I'm suggesting that you adopt too. Follow the whales. Find and follow the whales. And I keep saying it because smart people have a tendency to want to do things themselves because that's the way we were taught. We were taught not to cheat, not to work with anybody, do the work yourself. And so you've got to remind yourself that in this world of finance, we are in kindergarten, but there are people who have been in this space for a long time who know what they're doing. And the likelihood that we can catch them is slim to none. But the likelihood that we can benefit off of their knowledge is high. So find and follow the whales. Drill that in. That said, we've talked about a few. Warren Buffett, huge investor. By the way, Warren Buffett made 90% of his income after the age of 50. So it's never too late. Just do the work and find and follow the whales. So Warren Buffett is obviously a whale. His firm, Berkshire Hathaway, is publicly traded. So you can literally buy a share of Berkshire Hathaway. The shares are very expensive, so you would want to buy a fractional share on Robinhood or Cash App. But you can still buy at least a fractional share of his company, Berkshire Hathaway, and benefit from all his wisdom. Same with Cathie Wood. Cathie Wood has been beating the S&P 500 for 3 or 4 years in a row now. Her fund is called ARK Invest, ARKK Invest, and you can buy into that one too. It's much more reasonably priced than Berkshire Hathaway, but again, you can always buy fractional shares on Robinhood or Cash App. I would suggest Robinhood because Robinhood allows you to activate DRIP, which again is dividend reinvestment plan. That means every time the share or fractional share earns a dividend, it will automatically be reinvested back into the fund. And so you gain more and more traction within that fund. Cash App does not offer DRIP. And so for Cash App, I'm suggesting everyone stay away from anything that pays dividends on Cash App. Only growth stocks on Cash App that do not pay dividends. Okay, so this brings us to Shaq. As you know, if you've been watching the show a few weeks ago, I think, I was talking about how my mom and I were talking about Shaq buying into this water company And the water company is well priced as a stock. It's like $2 or $3 per share, very inexpensive. But then I was thinking, but we don't have access to the deal Shaq has. Shaq clearly would have an ownership stake in a different kind of deal when he went to that company than we would have as investors. And I was saying, well, what we really need to be able to do is ride Shaq's coattails, but we can't do that as we can with Warren Buffett and Cathie Wood, as I just explained. And I was wrong. I was wrong. So I just learned about SPACs. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it is an acronym, SPAC. SPACs, I assume, are special purpose acquisition companies. That's the acronym. It stands for special purpose acquisition companies. To me, I'm thinking of these as shell companies. You know how you hear about shell companies in movies and TV, and you don't really know what they are? I think that's what this is. But anyway, let me read the definition. An SPAC, or special purpose acquisition company, is another name for a blank check company. We all know about the concept of writing blank checks. That means an entity with no commercial operations that completes an initial public offering. So an IPO, if you follow the stock market, you know that an IPO is an initial public offering. That means that the stock has just become publicly available, right? So that means now it's a company that people can buy into, that the general public can buy into. And not all companies are publicly traded, but some of them are. So the way I'm interpreting this is you can create a SPAC for the purpose of bringing a company that you like into the NASDAQ, making it a publicly traded company. So just to make that real, so I could create an SPAC, let's say, to take Sekouwrites Holdings public. And now Sekouwrites Holdings exists, but now it's a publicly traded entity that people can buy into. And I'm only going to do that if I really believe in Sekouwrites Holdings. I see that they've been doing some good work, they did some good things, and they, I believe, will profit from having a publicly traded company. So Shaq has done this, not once, but at least twice. So what he's done is partnered with other people to create an SPAC. The SPAC itself is publicly traded. So you buy into the SPAC and then you see what he does, which sounds a little crazy, right? Because that's the way the SPAC is set up. You say, if you're the creator of an SPAC, you're saying, look, you know who I am. I'm Shaq. I got all these people around me. I got a good team, and we're going to do something interesting. We don't know what yet, but we're going to do something interesting. Go ahead and buy in now. And so you buy shares of his SPAC, and then he goes out and does something. And then you win or lose based on what he did. So you've got to already believe that he's going to win. And then you buy into his SPAC. The SPAC becomes something else. So using the same example, his SPAC would become Sekouwrites Holdings. And then he would move on to the next SPAC, which will also become some other new company. It's mind-boggling stuff, to me at least. So I didn't know about this until just now, but literally you can ride Shaq's coattails by buying into his SPACs. The thing that's a little bit scary is you don't know what he's going to do. You don't know what the SPAC is going to do. You really just have to believe that they're going to do something magical and wonderful, and they're going to make money for everybody. So I know for his first SPAC, he had a number of interesting people in it. He had somebody, the former CEO of TikTok. If you're not familiar with TikTok, it is the newest, greatest social media, and it's really killing it. It's doing gangbusters. So that's a good get. You got the former CEO of TikTok, had a former executive of Disney, had Martin Luther King III, so Martin Luther King Jr.'s son, who apparently was a huge investor in Bounce TV. I had no idea. And several other heavy hitters. So they all come together and they say, hey, we created this SPAC, buy in. Buy in now, and then we're going to figure out what we're doing. And they're doing that right now for their second SPAC. And again, we don't know what they're going to do. So I'm not suggesting it. I'm not advocating it because we don't know what they're going to do. But I just want you to be aware of the fact that this exists. Like, you can ride Shaq's coattails by buying into an SPAC. And that means that there are other SPACs being created all the time. So if you've got somebody who you know is making big, if you got a whale, you could ask Google if that whale has an SPAC. Does Warren Buffett have an SPAC, for example? And then see if that's something you want to invest in. So I'm going to keep my eye on it. I'm going to keep talking about it. I'm going to see what he's already done with the first SPAC and what he's going to do with the second SPAC, and we'll see. But it's very exciting to me. That whole business model is super exciting, that you could just create an entity and say, fund me, and then I'm going to go do something. That's mind-boggling. All right. Anyway, that said, I want to finally just talk about the resources. I've been skimming past this. So if you don't have a pen and paper, remember to come back and write these resources down because they're important. So we've got the Get Rich 101 podcast. That's my podcast. That's me reading the book, The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. Mind-boggling stuff, really expansive stuff. It's not at all what you're expecting. Listen to the podcast. It's on all the podcasting platforms. Just listen to it as you go about your day. It's easy. Just put it on in the background as you go about your day. Every once in a while, you'll hear something that really impacts you. Also, you can get the actual book, The Science of Getting Rich. It's available on Amazon. It's by, as I said, Wallace D. Wattles, written in 1910. Also, grab Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's a fascinating book. It will expand your perceptions about money. Check out the show, Giant Beast That Is the Global Economy. I know it's a long title, but it's available on Amazon Prime. You definitely want to check out episode 7, which is all about the cryptoverse. Giant Beast That Is the Global Economy. All right. Also check out Black Mirror and Electric Dreams. These are fictional shows, but when you watch them, you'll see that many of them are about the cryptoverse before the cryptoverse happened. So you can watch those to get a sense of what is coming or what could be coming. Also check out bigmoneycrypto.com. Website again is bigmoneycrypto.com. You're going to see lots of cryptocurrency information given to you in a user-friendly way. So check that out. Okay, I got 2 things I want to do. I want to circle back to the questions. I got some questions yesterday. Nan was asking about transferring Bitcoin off of Cash App. Okay, so really quickly, I would suggest transferring your Bitcoin off of Cash App to an actual cryptocurrency space like Coinbase. I myself have not done it yet, but it is my intention to do so. There's 2 reasons. One, Cash App is charging fees. Like if you buy $1 worth of Bitcoin on Cash App, what you get is 97 cents worth. It takes 3 cents right off the top. And also it's going to give an even bigger fee, charge an even bigger fee when you transfer it off, which is why I haven't done it yet. I'm not looking forward to the fee I'm going to have to pay. But I do want to get my Bitcoin off of Cash App to an actual crypto space like Coinbase. That said, Gladys was asking about investing in infrastructure. So what I've been suggesting to people is use your anecdotal knowledge. If you have a body of knowledge about infrastructure, then by all means. But if you're starting from scratch, then the best thing you can do is find and follow a whale. But if you've got a body of information about that world, then it'll be helpful to you. And that applies to anything. Any area of the world that you have anecdotal information about, invest in that space because you're already ahead of the curve. You already know more than most people. And again, I ran out of time. I don't know what's happening. I used to do this in 15 minutes. Okay, sorry, folks. It's time for prayer time, and then it's time for Sit with Reverend Melissa. By Friday, I will get better with the time. Until then, keep doing, be a hero, be your own hero, and remember that now is better than perfect. Later.